I've been looking on the internet or whatever, and the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I get a lot of questions, a lot of just miscellaneous thoughts on the, it could be in the comment section, the Twitter machine, wherever I find these questions that I don't always get time to respond back to them. So I figure I just cut the camera on and just like talk for like 20 minutes. I don't know. We'll kind of see what happens. I just want to express myself on, just to kind of, give my thoughts on those comments and respond to them. So the first one with the whole anti-Dak crowd or whatever, and I will say that crowd is getting smaller, but people are still sick out there, right? So we got to keep this fight strong. We still got to go out there and tend to them and make sure that they get that good medicine that they need, because they think that they can just draft some kid to come in and be as good as Dak or just as good as Dak, or better than Dak for that reason. And I think this is what this fight has turned into. I think once upon a time it used to be like a lot of Cowboy fans that thought that, but now it's less Cowboy fans. There are still some Cowboy fans that think it, and that's kind of sick. But I think a lot of these people that have negative things to say about Dak Prescott are people that don't watch the Cowboys as close as we do. And when I say as close as we do, I don't mean like Voch and Law Nation Foot's King. I mean like us, because if you're this is just me assuming, right? If you tuned into my YouTube channel, or if you're tuned into the Dallas Cowboy YouTube community to some capacity, then you watch some film. You know what I mean? Because I put up a lot of film. McCoy put up film. Foots will put film up sometimes. Lost Film guy, right? So if you tuned into us, you watch film. And I equate that to I say this all the time. If you're a fan that not only watch the game live, but you've watched multiple plays from that game multiple times since that game went live, you're different than the fan that watches the game one time, but they may have been texting on their phone while the play was happening. They may have been in the kitchen. They may have been in the bathroom doing something. So they may only seen the game one time. You can't put yourself on the same level of analysis as those people. That's not me talking myself up. That's me talking me and the people that do the things I do up. It could be you watching this video. You watch me put some film out. You got Game Pass. You can go get Game Pass. You watch film yourself. You can't compare your thoughts to these people, to these other people that don't study as much as we do. So when you get these Cowboy fans to say, "Oh, Dak Prescott's not good," okay, we know better. That's cool. Dak Prescott. Oh well, then they'll bring in like, "Oh well, he did this against these teams." Okay, well, this is a team sport, and for the most part, Dak was tearing up. Dak was tearing up the league before he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? I was like, well, he only did that against prevent coverage. Okay, cool. Well, I'd assume that a team went up, and in the second quarter, they just played prevent from the second quarter all the way to the fourth quarter. We just coming back. They just still playing prevent for 3 whole quarters. That's not how football works. So you can break down that I Am Legend Monsters argument by simply just thinking a little bit and just crafting it around. I'm saying all this to say is there should be no reason why we should be looking at quarterback with whatever pick that we end up having. We're currently at like what, 5th overall or something, 4th maybe. It kind of goes up and down. I don't know when y'all watching this, but we play the Bengals this Sunday. I'm referring to that as the Brick Bowl. So whoever loses that game should be sitting pretty for the 3rd overall pick for the remainder of the situation. And if you're sitting at 3rd overall pick, there's no reason you should draft a quarterback there, right? And I got a handful of reasons why I think that. You may have, seen whichever quarterback that's going to be there at 3. It could be Justin Fields. It could be Zach Wilson. You see them and you get excited about it and go, yo, that dude could be better than Dak Prescott or be what Dak Prescott is. Well, just think about this. A lot of the quarterbacks that are trash in the league now look good in college. You know what I'm saying? Even Dak looked good in college. Like Dak took Mississippi State to the number 2 overall team in the nation one year. You know what I'm saying? So Dak has his own college pedigree, but it's all about what you do when you get to the league. This is what I give Dak most credit for. We see situations all the time where quarterbacks will look good early in their tenure, early in their, football career or whatnot, but then they get figured out. Every quarterback gets figured out at some point. It's kind of happening to Kyler Murray right now. It's happening to Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield had a rough little patch. Definitely Carson Wentz. You know what I'm saying? Guys like that. And what happens is when those guys get figured out, it's their job to flip it reinvent themselves and get unfigured out. You know what I'm saying? We know Dak Prescott has the ability to get unfigured out because in 2017 and 18 he got figured out, but then he made some adjustments in 2019 and 20. He's a totally different dude than he was, in 2017 and 2018. We don't know if Lamar Jackson can turn that around. He probably could. We don't know if Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Carson Wentz can turn it around. They probably can. I'm not saying that they can or they cannot. I'm just simply saying I know for a fact that Dak has made that turn. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. I mean, you know how I get down, player. You know, I think he's better than Lamar and Watson and guys like that. You know what I'm saying? I think he's like the 4th best guy in the league, but not my business. And Cowboy fans can be finicky with their top 5 list because one week they'll be like Russell Wilson's the best, but then you took it. If you look at the last 3 weeks from Russell Wilson, they ready to turn on. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely can't take a lot of these people's thoughts and opinions too seriously. You just got to take it as, hey man, that's your opinion. I'm gonna let you boogie on that. So I said that to say, because I'm setting up all this, right? This is mostly gonna be a draft show, so just tune in with me. I said all that to say is what happens when you get Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Justin Fields. As prospects, they could be good prospects. They could be good passers of the football. They could be, pretty athletic. But, we don't know if they're going to work hard. And I'm not saying that they won't, but we don't know that they're going to work hard. We don't know that they're going to be good leaders. We don't know that, that they're going to, get figured out and overcome being figured out. That's the big question mark behind them, right? I mean, for every successful, top 3 pick, right? Like just say a top 3 pick. Let's say, for the sake of conversation, we'll say Kyler Murray is a successful top 3 pick. That's a quarterback, right? For every Kyler Murray, there's like 7 top 3 prospects that didn't pan out. There's a Blake Bortles in there somewhere that just didn't work out. Haskins wasn't the top 3 guy or whatever, but we see it every single year. There are quarterbacks that get in the league and they simply don't pan out, or they have a good year and they don't overcome getting figured out. You see what I'm saying? We don't even want to shoot the dice on that. Like I don't want to shoot dice in the bathroom with that. We got to, in the most important position in football, which is quarterback, right? The most important position in football. Why do we want to play around with that? Why do we want to mess around with that dynamic? Take a guy like Josh Rosen, who had the cerebral side of it, and he wasn't big arm. He wasn't big arm talent guy, and Dak's not a big arm talent guy. But what happens when you get into the locker room and people think that maybe you should work a little harder. Maybe you're not a leader. Maybe you're not first guy in, last guy out. We know that Dak Prescott is all those things. Let's not gamble that away just because you want to save $40 million. Now, if you want to save some money or whatever, then don't pay your running back. Then don't pay your linebacker. Don't pay, whoever it is on the team that you don't want to pay. I don't think you can afford to not pay quarterback. You can't mess around with quarterback. So that's just that. Moving on. I have this notion that I think we should draft O-line every single year. Offensive line should be, because it's 46 point something. I'm bad at the math. What's 5 divided by 11 or 11 divided by 5? I don't know. I'm terrible at numbers, but 5 out of 11 people is your offensive line. Okay. And as Cowboy fans, we know that you can have Zach Martin at right guard and Terrence Steele at right tackle. If your right tackle is trash, then there's not much that your right guard could do about it. We see this all the time. So I think we should draft offensive line every single year. And, you may be asking me, well, when's a good time to not draft offensive line? I don't think it's never a good time to not draft offensive line. Because if you think about it, right, think about it's 5 O-linemen and 3 backup dudes. So that's like 8. So that's 8 guys, right? So if you do this properly, you should draft a starter. Like that starter that you drafted every 8 years turns into a rotation. You know what I mean? And you may or may not pay these guys. You see what I'm saying? So if you think about Tyron Smith, man, drafting him, we haven't had to worry about left tackle for a while. We haven't had to worry about right guard for a while. Lael Collins, we're not going to worry about right tackle for a while. Then you got to incorporate your backup guys, and that could be drafting McGovern in the 3rd round, Connor Williams in the 2nd round, however you want to play it or whatever, we should be doing that. Well, we're in a situation where we got to draft the offensive line again, and you want to be in a situation where if something happens on your line, where Tyron Smith wakes up with a headache, or Zach Martin wakes up and just decide, not Zach Martin, Travis Frederick wakes up and just decides that he wants to just retire, then you have yourself covered. You're not just in a situation where you're scrambling just the last minute trying to fix a patch that has been left voided. So draft O-line every year. So we're in this conversation with Penei Sewell. You know what I mean? And is this one of those emergency years where I feel like we got to take an offensive lineman in the first round? I don't think so, because I'm very much so right brick on my brick. If I'm in a situation where I got a top 3 pick, I want to trade out of that pick. If it's a quarterback selection, I want a team in the middle to give me picks and move out. Now, this is my thing. If we're 3rd overall, trade back is my first. That's my first request that I want to pull off. Right, I'm asking my people, hey man, like, see if we could trade back and get more picks, so we can do what the Dolphins are doing to the Texans. The Dolphins are winning football games, but they close to the top of the draft because the Texans are terrible, right? Because they got their pick. So I want to be in a situation where I got a gang of picks and possibly a first round pick for next year. So, pardon me. With that being said, that just that just made me lose my spot. All right, so offensive line, right? If we at 3rd overall pick, right? My first priority is to trade back, and if we at 3, if I can't trade back, then I'm fine taking Penei Sewell. However, if I can trade back, offensive line is not on my radar like that, because I would take Penei Sewell simply because he's a player that fits into the talent that's capable, of living up to the standard of a 3rd overall pick. Because when you look at the guys on defense, it could be Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain, especially not no Dan Russo, but I'm saying his name because we just talking about it in terms of like the mock drafts that's out. It could be a guy like Kwity Paye, the guy from Michigan. You know what I'm saying? There's not a guy on defense that you feel really good about at the 4th overall pick. But if you were to trade back to like 10, or like Michael Parsons too, or if you was to trade back to like 10th overall, 11th, 15th overall, then the board opens up. You can get a safety if you want. You can get whatever you want and not feel bad about it. So if I could trade back, I'm not taking offensive line in the first round. Since my options opened up, I'm looking for cornerback. I'm looking for safety. I'm looking for D-line, linebacker potentially. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just everything changes up one time. But if we stuck at 3, then you just got to take Sewell and just move on with your life. But I don't think we'll be stuck at 3. And the reason why offensive line is not one of my super priorities is because I know who Dak Prescott is. Plus, I know who this defense is, but that's another conversation. Dak Prescott was able to put up big offensive numbers with the worst offensive line in the league. And that is a mixture of Brandon Knight and Cameron Irvin. That's a mixture of Terrence Steele at right tackle, Joe Looney at center. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Connor Williams being the most vetted guy in the situation, being at left guard or whatever. I just feel like Dak can live with an offensive line that's Cameron Irvin / Brandon Knight, Connor Williams, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, La'el Collins. We just got to get healthy. You know what I mean? I think if we get healthy, we'll be good to go. Which, but this Cowboys defense being the worst defense I've ever seen, and then improving and turning into the worst defense in the league, like altogether, like. That's why I think Dak can't win football games. And to be fair, when Dak was playing, this goes against the I Am Legend monster we was talking about earlier. They'll say things like, well, when Dak was playing, we was losing ball games. Sure. But we was losing like 38-31. We was losing like 40-35. Like, we was putting up 30. Now we're losing 20-something to 7, 20-something to 3. You know what I mean? It's just different with Andy Dalton losing and how we was losing with Dak Prescott. If you watch the last game or whatever, there was this graphic where like Jalen Smith is there and it's all 32s next to him. You can't tell me that Dak Prescott's gonna win you a ball game and your defense is all 32. And you got the nerve to say something about Dak Prescott. You got the nerve to say something about Amari Cooper. You got the nerve to say something about Kellen Moore. even with Dak Prescott gone, we still ranked top 10 in the offense, which lets you know how much Dak was doing prior to him getting hurt. But if you ranked all 30 seconds, then of course we need to fix something on defense. And when we fix those things, I think we'll be fine. I think if our offense comes back as deadly as it was, and we make that defense like the 21st defense, the 19th worst defense, 25th, I think you win a lot more football games. But that's just me being me. That's just me me hating or whatever. But back to offensive line though. I think the key is what do we do with Connor McGovern? You see what I'm saying? That's the big conversation, pardon me. That's the big conversation. What do we do with McGovern? Because McGovern's nice. And I'm going to drop a film session on him at some point. We had a late game in the week, so everything kind of got pushed back one time, so I apologize. But I got my Cowboy film. I'm going to drop a Connor McGovern film session. But he's nice. He's nice, and I think he's going to be good next year. So the question is, if Connor McGovern is a really good left guard next year, is offensive line an emergency like you think it is? You see what I'm saying? Because, yeah, you could say, oh, I'm drafting Penei Sewell, and since Tyron's healthy, I'll just put him at left guard. Then when Tyron gets hurt, I'll put Sewell at left tackle. That sounds good, right? But what if it's a situation like, okay, now we're so good at left guard, we're wasting Connor McGovern. I don't want to waste Connor McGovern. You see what I'm saying? So I don't look at left guard as an emergency. But we got to keep playing McGovern to see how good he really is. And, you know, he's going to go into the offseason. And it's crazy because he's small now. And he couldn't really lift weights last year because he had a titty injury or whatever. But he's going to get into this offseason, this next offseason. He's going to get bigger and stronger. He's going to get those peanut butter sandwiches that they give people to make them big in the offseason. And Connor McGovern is going to come back bigger and stronger. So Zach Martin's going to be at right guard. Leal's going to be at right tackle. I can see Biadasz at center. It turns into Connor McGovern versus Connor Williams at left guard for a real life conversation. See what I'm saying? So it's not like we have a deficiency at offensive line. This year we do because everybody's hurt. Like the two backup offensive tackles, Brandon Knight and Cam Irving, like they hurt too. You know what I mean? This is just a weird year that I don't think is going to happen again where all the damn offensive linemen hurt. But I think there are some things that we need to do moving forward that are going to kind of tell us the story of the draft. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, what I mean by that is, you know, going into the last 4 games of the season, I can see us losing to the Bengals. And so in real life, the last 3 games of the season, what's so bad about seeing what Connor Williams has at tackle? Just so we know. Because we may go into a situation thinking, okay, we got to get Sewell to have a better offensive line. And to be fair, if I had to pick out a Sewell to be my left tackle or Slater to be my left tackle or Connor Williams being my left tackle, I'm picking those draft picks because Connor Williams not going to be here in the next 5 years. I mean, we just don't know. But we know that Sewell and Rashawn Slater, the tackle from Northwestern, we know they're going to be here, right? So what's going to happen is if Connor's really good at tackle, and to be fair, Connor may be terrible at tackle. I just don't know yet. We just don't know how he looks in the game. If Connor's good at left tackle and Connor McGovern is good at left guard, now you could switch your draft strategy into, okay, maybe we don't have to take an offensive lineman with the first pick, but we'll possibly take one with the 4th pick. You see what I'm saying? Just to get a rotational guy up here, just to kind of see what's going on with that. I don't think Joe Looney's going to be here for the next 5 years. We just got to have those realistic conversations. Along with playing Connor Williams at left tackle, I got to see what we're going to do with these other positions that's filled with young talent, right? Because we can go into this thing saying, all right, Voch, we need edge help, right? We need help at the edge position, defensive end or whatever. But the problem with that is, okay, D-Law is going to be here. Randy Gregory makes $38, not million, but $38. He makes 38 million cents next year. Can somebody tell me how much 38 million cents is? Randy Gregory's making that next year. So we know that we got those 2 guys. But what happens when Randy Gregory in 3 years or whatever? I hope we can sign Randy Gregory. I don't know, but we'll see. But my biggest thing is we should be playing Bradley and not right now so that we know what we have at DN when we go into the draft. Guys like Rondell Carter, sure. Throw Rondell Carter in the mix. Rondell Carter's a practice squad guy. We picked up a dude from, I think he played with the Raiders, I believe, Breland Speaks. I remember him coming out of the draft process. He's a guy that's on our team that's just kind of sitting around on our team. He's a practice squad guy. He was a second-round pick a couple years ago. Who were the Chiefs, I believe. Raiders or Chiefs, one of those teams. He's an Ole Miss guy. And he's just kind of sitting around on our practice squad, right? He was a dude that could play inside and a little bit outside. Like, bring that dude in just to kind of know what you got, you know what I mean? Just to kind of get an understanding of where you at so you know what the emergency is moving forward. Reggie Robinson, I mean, we keep rolling out this other Robinson, I think is Rashard Robinson. Show me what Reggie can do. Savion Smith is probably terrible, but show me what Savion Smith could do. Show me what Westry could do, just so I can know how big the emergency is. You know what I'm saying? Look at my linebackers, right? Where my linebackers at? Like guys like Francis Bernard, Luke Gifford, or whatever. Like, show me what those dudes can do, so I can know if I really need linebacker or not. Because to be fair, if I don't need linebacker, then I'm not going into this draft panicking or whatever. Because if Luke Gifford and Francis Bernard are really good at linebacker, then linebacker may not be one of my needs in the draft. Because if I got a couple top 50 picks, right? Let's say I got 4 top 80 picks. We could very much so have 4 top 80 picks. So that's the case, right? That could be that could go from I'm drafting cornerback, safety, D tackle, linebacker. But if we feel good about Gifford and Bernard, then that turns into D tackle, safety, and I'm drafting cornerback twice because that's how I feel. You know what I mean? Or it's a situation where, you know, hey, Reggie Robinson can play corner. Hey, Reggie Robinson, you can play cornerback, right? Cool. We're going to put him there. We know Diggs is coming back next year. Anthony Brown is signed to a contract, so you're not having an emergency at corner necessarily. But we know Reggie Robinson can play. So with that turns into D tackle, linebacker. I'm going to still get 1 corner. I may not get 2, but I'll still get 1 corner. And that 4th position could be, you know what, let's go ahead and get defensive end because we know what we got in Bradley and we know what we got in Rondell Carter. You see what I'm saying? It's levels to this. And I think there's something to knowing what's on your roster prior to moving on. You see what I'm saying? I really want to know what I got before I move on and get up out of here. Let's see. That's why we need to play young corner. Yeah, cool. So, in my mind, like if y'all want some prospects to look out for at different levels of it, first and foremost, what y'all need to do is I've been watching a bunch of film on my Patreon, and a lot of my draft content will live on the Patreon. That's where I have the long form film sessions for guys like, I'll tell you right now, we have watched Penei Sewell, Micah Parsons, Kwity Paye, Carlos Basham, Patrick Surtain, Alex Leatherwood, Nick Bolton, that's Jeff Kavanaugh's guy, Rashawn Slater, Marvin Wilson. So we've watched those guys on my Patreon already. So you can go over there, drop $1 and get access to all that. We're gonna be responding to mock drafts. We're gonna be doing player rankings over there, all that good stuff. And we're gonna be doing what I call Senior Bowl prep, where we just kind of watch a handful of Senior Bowl guys so we can know what we're doing when we get into that conversation. So go over there and check that out. But if you just want some guys to look up, so at cornerback, of course, there's Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. He opted out. Patrick Surtain, he's the Bama kid. There are 5 corners from Georgia that you could probably watch, and there's 2 corners from Clemson. So you can just kind of tune in and watch both those guys. Asante Samuel's from Florida State. He's a guy that, because you recognize the name Asante Samuel, but he might be like a second, third round guy, something like that. I'm only naming a handful of guys. I'm not gonna name 10 at all these spots or whatever. In terms of linebacker, right? Dylan Moses from Alabama, Micah Parsons from Penn State. My man's with the long name from Notre Dame. It's not time for me to know all the long name kids yet, but they got a linebacker with long hair. He looks kind of Hawaiian, Polynesian, Tongan, one of those Islander kids. He looks like one of those guys. So check him out. He's a Notre Dame linebacker. One of my favorite dudes are Nick Bolton. You can go check out Nick Bolton from Missouri. Pardon me. from Missouri. D-line and edge, I could just put those together. Marvin Wilson's a one tech from Florida State. Feel really good about him. Kwity Paye, edge guy from Michigan. You can look at guys like Joseph Osai from Texas. Azeez Ojulari from Georgia. Go look at Jalen Phillips. So watch this. In 2019, Greg Russo played D-end for Miami. And you can watch Greg Russo. Don't get me wrong or whatever. Go watch him. But then there's a guy, number 15 this year, that took Russo's number, Jalen Phillips, who's way better than Russo. Go watch Jalen Phillips from 2020. I'll be dropping some Jalen Phillips film in my Patreon really soon. So tune in for that. What other? I mean, it's a lot of edge guys this year, man. Carlos Basham from Wake Forest. It's just so many guys that's gonna be bunched up in the same group or whatever. And with Cowboys draft, what you want to do is you want to have more picks from 18 to 50. You know, because I've been saying this a lot the past couple of days too. The past couple of shows I've done the draft show with Jeff or whatnot. What you want to do is be in a situation where your trade back puts you in better position to draft at a certain position. You see what I'm saying? To where we talk about these premium positions, right? These premium position players. If we stay top 5, there's only a handful of positions that you feel comfortable drafting. Quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback, O-tackle, pass rusher. Those are the only positions that you feel really good about drafting. Nobody wants to draft a one tech or a free safety at top 5 or whatever. But when you pick at like 29, you can pick who you want. 18, 15, 36, 47, you can pick whoever you want. You know what I mean? If you look at how one tech has been drafted in the past few drafts, one tech, Sam linebacker, nickel corner, both safeties, really. We talked about pass rushers. Cool. Whatever pass rushers you want, right? Slot receivers, offensive linemen. All those dudes go between 18 and 60 something. That's where you take those dudes at. So you may be like, well, Voch, why don't the Cowboys take safety? Because for the most part, like, look at what happened to us last year, right? Well, like when we got into like the first beginning of the second round, right before we drafted Diggs, Xavier McKinney went, Grant Delpit went, Antoine Winfield went. Like those guys go right in front of you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, you just got to be in a situation where, okay, cool, we just got to draft a certain guy at a certain point in the draft. And I think that's where trading down is really, really important for us. And I don't even want to say it like the guys that's in the top 10 are bad. They're just bad for the Cowboys. Like if I'm the Eagles and I suck at quarterback and I suck at offensive line and I suck at receiver, I want to be in that top 10. You know what I mean? Or like if I'm, whatever, like another team that just sucked there. They would love to be there. But if we're the Cowboys, we are fine on offense. We look really, really good on offense. Even if we don't draft offensive line, we're good to go on offense. The problem is that we want so many defensive players. And I like Patrick Surtain, but I wouldn't draft him at number 5. I like Caleb Farley. I like Michael Parsons, but I wouldn't take him top 5. You see what I'm saying? There are guys that I feel really good about at 11. But not where we picking at. Where we picking at is something different. With that being said, though, Cincinnati is very important. That's a very important game for us. I'm not rooting for a loss. I don't hope the Cowboys lose. I never want us to lose. I just know who we are. I know who Andy Dalton is. I know, and Terrence Steele wasn't even terrible last game. He wasn't terrible the game before that. You know what I mean? But that's because, you know, whatever. But Terrence Steele could go right back to being terrible. Terrence Steele, I don't know, man. It's like when Terrence Steele plays right tackle, Andy Dalton gets nervous. When Andy Dalton gets nervous, Andy Dalton gets terrible. And when people get scared, that's when people accidentally get shot. As a Pulp Fiction reference. But I don't know, man. I call it the Brick Bowl. So let's see how the Brick Bowl goes. Tune into my post-game show whenever we do that. Follow me on Twitter, VOCHLOMBARDI. And if y'all have any other questions, you can leave it in the chat box or the comment section of this video or whatever, and I will try my best to to get to it. I have a link to my Discord that's in the description, and I have a very interesting t-shirt design. I just designed it or whatever, and I printed one, and I'm getting it shipped here. And if it ends up looking good, it's gonna be going out soon. It's gonna be going out on the market pretty soon. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all for holding me down. I appreciate all the people that's been buying merch up to this point. Big salute. All those links that you need are in the description. All right, but with that being said, y'all hold it down for the Doski Woski Peace Whiskey, man. Peace.